Ahead of you, on a narrow road in Holmes County, a horse and buggy moves at 8 miles an hour. No engine, no dashboard glow, no ringtone, no algorithm deciding what he sees next. The man holding the reins wears plain clothes and a flat-brimmed hat. His formal schooling likely ended at 14. He may never carry a credit card. He may never open a LinkedIn account. He has never said the words scale fast or burn rate. His name is Myron Miller. He runs 2 furniture companies near Millersburg, Four Corners Furniture and Miller Bedroom Wholesale. He employs 14 workers. He supplies 75 furniture dealers across the United States. He has no website, no e-commerce funnel, no paid advertisements, no marketing agency. During the 2008 financial crisis,
this is the story of the largest bankruptcy in U.S. history.
When banks failed, foreclosures spread,
A deep distrust of Wall Street, and a near meltdown of the global economy.
and businesses across America collapsed, Myron Miller expanded. Asked how, he gave a 4-word answer: I run my business according to God's way and plan. That sounds like humility. It is also one of the most quietly devastating competitive strategies in modern American business. Because Myron Miller is not an exception. He is a pattern. Holmes County, a quiet corner of Northeast Ohio many Americans could not locate on a map, is home to one of the largest Amish settlements in the world. Nearly half the county is Amish, and along its roads, you can drive for minutes at a time without escaping the signs of an industrial ecosystem hidden in farmland. Converted barns, old chicken coops turned workshops, outbuildings with air hoses running through timber walls, fresh-cut oak stacked under tarps, teenage sons at benches before sunrise, fathers doing final quality checks at dusk. From the outside, it looks like tradition. Inside, it functions like a manufacturing cluster. Together, they have built something that should be economically impossible. Today, the North American Amish population stands at roughly 410,955. Since 2000, it has more than doubled. Their businesses are reported to survive at rates between 90% and 95% over 5 years, far above mainstream American small businesses, where failure is common. Ohio, powered heavily by Amish craftsmen, ranks first in the nation in hardwood furniture production, generating an estimated $4.6 billion in annual economic impact. During the 2006 to 2008 financial crisis, while much of domestic furniture manufacturing contracted, 71% of Amish furniture firms expanded. And by 2050, some projections suggest there may be nearly 1 million Amish Americans. A community with no social media, no high school diplomas, limited connection to the electrical grid, minimal debt, no obsession with personal branding, and yet it is building one of the most resilient manufacturing empires in modern America. How? One Amish businessman explained why rigid traditionalism would have destroyed them.
If we have strict, rigid rules and we'd still live or try to make a living like we did in the 1800s, we couldn't compete in our businesses. We've been able to regulate the amount of technology we allow and still try to keep a balance in our family values.
That is not anti-modernity. That is controlled modernity. Use tools, reject chaos, protect the family. Train useful skills early. Keep overhead low. Build products that carry your name for decades. One retailer distilled the result into 6 words.
It's always heirloom quality, built in America.
While much of America learned to buy furniture meant to be replaced, the Amish kept building furniture meant to be inherited. Tonight, we trace how a farming people turned barns into workshops, sons into craftsmen, reputation into capital, and simplicity into one of the most quietly dominant manufacturing systems America has ever seen. Because the buggy ahead of you is not falling behind. It is moving at the speed of something designed to last. This is the human map. Subscribe, because when people move, the map moves with them. Even at 8 miles an hour. Enos Saul did not grow up dreaming of a furniture empire. He grew up wanting land, like his father, like his grandfather, like generations of Amish men before him in the rolling hills of Holmes County, where status was measured in acres, barns, harvests, and whether your children could remain close enough to hear the supper bell. For most of Amish history, farming was not just work. It was civilization. The farm allowed families to labor together, worship together, raise children together, and remain insulated from a wider world built on speed, vanity, and distraction. As one researcher put it,
the farm was a place where families could work together.
Then mathematics intervened. The Amish average roughly 5 to 9 children per family. In some settlements, 10-child households are not rare. Meanwhile, the broader American fertility rate hovers around replacement or below it. That gap compounds across generations like interest. Every 20 years, there were more sons needing land, but no new earth was being made, and the earth that existed was becoming expensive. As suburban America expanded into rural counties, farmland prices rose. In Holmes County, agriculture-related occupations among Amish household heads dropped from 48% in 1973 to just 21% by 1997. Farming could no longer absorb the next generation. This is where many communities fracture. Young people leave. Traditions weaken. The old economy dies. The Amish did something else. They industrialized without becoming industrial. They already possessed the raw ingredients: discipline, family labor, woodworking skill, repair culture, patience, and boys learning practical trades from childhood. Every Amish home contained handmade objects. Every father passed skills through use, not lectures. The knowledge was sitting in barns waiting for a market. So the first shops were humble. A cleared dairy shed, an old chicken coop, 1 table saw, 2 sons, a stack of oak boards. They made porch swings, rocking chairs, bedroom sets, farm tables. Nothing glamorous, just solid products at fair prices. Then America made a second mistake. It abandoned furniture. Grand Rapids, once known as America's furniture capital, declined. Factories moved south, then overseas, then to China. Big box retailers trained consumers to expect cheap furniture, flat packed quickly, replaced often. But cheap furniture creates a vacuum. Someone still has to make the good stuff. The Amish stepped into that empty space. Roy Miller of Country View Woodworking described the shift with startling simplicity. We went from a farming industry some 20 years ago to a woodworking industry in practically no time. By the late 1990s, the Holmes County cluster had grown to roughly 450 family-owned furniture operations spread across Northeast Ohio. They consumed 44 million board feet of hardwood annually and shipped hundreds of millions of dollars in products. No MBAs, no venture capital, no branding agency, no internet. Just families who needed work and found wood. And while major American manufacturers were chasing efficiency, debt leverage, and overseas labor, the Amish were quietly building something stronger. an industry rooted in blood ties, low overhead, and reputation. But their real advantage was not the tables, not the chairs, not even the craftsmanship. It was a system outsiders still barely understand. And once you see that system, you understand why they keep winning. Walk into an Amish furniture workshop, and the first surprise is the sound. Not silence, but not the metallic scream of a modern factory either. You hear the hiss of compressed air, the knock of wood against wood, the scrape of a hand plane, sanding dust drifting through shafts of morning light. And beneath it all, outside the building, the deep, steady thrum of a diesel compressor. Because many Amish shops are not connected to the electrical grid. To outsiders, that sounds like a handicap. Inside the shop, it looks like strategy. As one documentary put it,
when your religious beliefs forbid connection to the electrical grid, you don't surrender quality, you innovate.
So they built an alternative system. Air lines run through walls. Pneumatic tools power saws, sanders, drills, nailers, clamps. These tools often run cooler, weigh less, and reduce some fire risk compared with electric equivalents. What looks primitive from the road can feel highly engineered once you step inside. Then comes the wood itself. Mass-market furniture often relies on veneers, particle board, composites, and speed. Amish makers built their reputation on solid hardwoods, oak, maple, cherry, walnut. One retailer summarized the brand simply:
It's always heirloom quality, built in America.
they do not treat lumber as inventory. They treat it as material with personality. Oak for strength, cherry for aging beauty, walnut for richness, maple for clean finishes. That mindset changes everything. Then comes moisture. Commercial manufacturers often kiln dry quickly to workable levels. Many Amish shops obsess over exact dryness, stability, and long-term movement in the wood. Some use air drying when flexibility matters. Others kiln dry with precision. They know what happens years later, not just what looks good on delivery day. Then, the joinery. This is where philosophy becomes engineering. Cheap furniture is often assembled to survive a return window. Amish furniture is assembled to survive inheritance. Mortise and tenon joints, dovetail drawers, tight tolerances, stress distributed across wood instead of screws doing all the work. One craftsman said it best without saying it directly: if the piece leaves your shop with your family name attached, failure is public. Reputation becomes quality control. Then there is organization. Every tool has a place. Every movement has a reason. Materials are staged before assembly begins. Components move through cutting, shaping, fitting, sanding, finishing in logical sequence. One analysis called it a hidden secret weapon. This streamlined workflow is one of the secret weapons behind their fast-paced yet precise furniture making. Efficiency without software. Lean manufacturing without consultants. And the worker at the center of it often began young. Formal schooling may end after 8th grade, but practical training starts far earlier. By 30, many craftsmen have thousands of repetitions in cutting, fitting, finishing, repairing, improvising. Muscle memory replaces hesitation. Then comes the cluster effect. One shop specializes in table legs, another in finishing, another in cabinets, another in delivery. Competitors sell to competitors. Families subcontract to neighbors. Components move through a local ecosystem held together by trust, and proximity. What Silicon Valley calls a network, they call community. And when a customer in Seattle or Manhattan buys a premium dining table, they may imagine a luxury brand made it. But the real origin might be a converted barn in Ohio. A father, 2 sons, no Wi-Fi, no investor deck, no marketing funnel, just a system refined over generations. And if the craftsmanship built the product, the financial model made the empire nearly impossible to kill. In 2008, while banks failed, foreclosures spread, and businesses across America cut staff or closed entirely, many Amish workshops kept operating. Some expanded. That alone should have attracted economists, because the financial crisis exposed something uncomfortable. Many modern businesses were efficient only when conditions were perfect. Cheap credit, stable demand, predictable supply chains, endless consumer confidence. Remove those, and collapse began. The Amish had built for harsher weather. Myron Miller, a Holmes County furniture maker running Four Corners Furniture and Miller Bedroom Wholesale, sold through dozens of dealers across America and had no website. Asked about success, he answered simply, "I run my business according to God's way and plan." That sounds spiritual. It was also structural. Because Amish households often do not depend on one income stream, a family may farm in summer, build furniture year-round, do construction seasonally, run a bakery, sell produce, repair machinery, or operate a small retail stand. Research on Amish households during downturns found families with 4 or more income sources were dramatically less likely to face hardship. Modern finance calls this diversification. They call it life. Then debt. Many Amish businesses begin in outbuildings or on family land, avoiding commercial rent, the silent killer of small businesses. They expand slowly, often with cash, retained earnings, or community lending rather than aggressive bank leverage. Need startup capital? Instead of pitching strangers, many turn inward: relatives, church networks, trusted lenders, informal, zero-interest, or low-pressure community loans backed by reputation. One analysis cited repayment rates near 98% in such trust-based systems. Collateral is useful. Shame can be stronger. Then, overhead. No expensive branding teams, no office tower leases, often no large utility bills, no endless subscriptions bleeding cash monthly. Many families grow a large share of their own food. One Amish farmer calculated the savings bluntly.
Whatever feed I can raise, then I don't have to buy. It saves me $3,000 a month if I raise this.
That is $36,000 a year not spent, which means $36,000 available for land, tools, lumber, expansion, or helping children start. Then, education. The average American young adult may enter adulthood with student debt and limited practical skills. Many Amish youths enter adulthood with years of real trade experience: carpentry, machine repair, farming, welding, bookkeeping, baking, construction. Income-producing ability arrives early. Debt arrives late, or never. Then, crisis response. During 2020, some Amish shops reportedly shifted quickly into producing masks, sanitizer stands, plexiglass barriers, or whatever local markets suddenly needed.
The bucolic quiet of Amish country in Ohio isn't the first place you'd think to go when tackling a global pandemic. But that's exactly what happened. Dutchman Hospitality offered to launder masks.
When you owe no bank, pivoting is easier. No lender approval, no debt clock ticking loudly, just adaptation. And wealth, when it appears, often hides itself. No sports car announcement, no luxury watch flexing. It may look like more acreage, a larger barn, a stronger business, a son starting with tools paid for, medical bills quietly covered for another family. Sociologist Donald Craybill once noted that the phrase Amish millionaire is no longer an oxymoron. The money exists, it is simply dressed modestly, which may be the most dangerous kind of wealth. Wealth that compounds without performing itself. But systems built on discipline also carry costs, because not everyone wants inherited certainty. And for Amish youth, adulthood begins with a question outsiders romanticize, but insiders understand deeply. Stay or walk out the door. There is a myth many outsiders tell themselves about the Amish, that they are trapped, that young people never see alternatives, that obedience is automatic because choice never appears. The reality is more complicated. At around 16, many Amish youth enter a stage known as rumspringa, from Pennsylvania Dutch, often translated as running around. It is the period before adult baptism, when rules loosen and young people are allowed varying degrees of contact with the outside world depending on the community. Cars, phones, parties, fashion, travel, freedom. The logic is blunt. Faith must be chosen, not inherited blindly. And yet, year after year, most return. Estimates often place retention around 85% to 90%. That statistic unsettles modern people, because it suggests exposure alone does not guarantee exit. So why do they come back? Part of the answer is economic. Leave the Amish world, and you do not simply leave rules. You leave infrastructure. You leave family labor networks, low-cost housing pathways, informal job pipelines, zero-interest lending, built-in childcare, shared identity, healthcare support, and a community that knows your name before you speak. Mainstream America offers freedom. It often does not offer a floor. One former Amish man who left for the outside world described the shock in a single sentence. Out there, nobody is waiting for you. Then there is loneliness. Modern America celebrates individuality, but many individuals live isolated lives, renting alone, commuting alone, eating alone, scrolling alone. The Amish can be restrictive, but they are rarely atomized. That matters more than people admit. Still, the Amish are not frozen in time. They negotiate. One businessman explained it clearly.
If we have strict, rigid rules and we'd still live or try to make a living like we did in the 1800s, we couldn't compete in our businesses. We've been able to regulate the amount of technology we allow and still try to keep a balance.
That sentence explains the real system. The line is not technology versus no technology. It is home versus market. Use a generator in the shop. Avoid television in the living room. Use hired drivers for business. Keep family meals intact. Phones in workplaces. Silence in bedrooms. This selective modernization helped build the furniture empire without dissolving the culture that made it possible. But success creates new pressure. Million-dollar businesses inside a theology of simplicity. National distribution networks inside a community wary of pride. Cash-rich families trying to look equal. One owner admitted,
"Church and family comes before the business every time. Or it's supposed to. Sometimes we have to remind ourselves of that."
That "supposed to" carries weight, because once a business scales, schedules expand. Customers demand deadlines. Growth has its own commandments. Then there is labor. America struggles to produce carpenters, cabinet makers, masons, and skilled tradespeople. One Amish craftsman noted, "There's almost no young English kids who have an interest in trades." The outside world lacks workers. The Amish keep producing them, which means leaving now can feel costlier than ever. Walk out the door, and you are not only rejecting rules, you may be rejecting one of the most resilient economic systems in America. But staying asks something too: obedience, constraint, submission to a collective identity in an age built around the self. And the generation inheriting success must answer a harder question than their grandparents ever faced. How do you remain plain when the world keeps rewarding you for winning? Ernest Hirschberger runs one of the largest furniture operations in Holmes County. His company, Homestead Furniture, sells across all 50 U.S. states and into multiple countries. Its premium line, Abner Henry, named after his father and grandfather, builds custom furniture for interior designers, luxury homes, and hospitality projects. Customers can choose from hardwood species, finishes, dimensions, and details once reserved for elite bespoke workshops. This is not a roadside rocking chair economy anymore. It is industrial craftsmanship with family ownership. And Hirschberger is not an exception. He is a signal. Because over the last generation, Amish furniture evolved from porch gliders and farmhouse tables into a national premium category. What was once seen as rural necessity is now marketed as authenticity, sustainability, and heirloom quality. One retailer summarized the appeal in 6 words:
Built to last for generations.
That message lands differently in modern America. Millions of consumers have watched flat-pack shelves sag, veneers peel, particle boards swell, and fast furniture break before the credit card statement is fully paid. The Amish are selling the opposite: weight, repairability, solid wood, time. And demographics may matter even more than branding. North America's Amish population reached 410,955 in 2025, up dramatically from 2000, and has roughly doubled every 20 years. Some projections place the community near 1 million people by mid-century if current patterns continue. Meanwhile, much of America faces low birth rates, aging workforces, and shortages in the very trades the Amish continue producing: cabinet makers, framers, masons, metalworkers, furniture craftsmen, builders. The broader economy outsourced skill formation. The Amish kept apprenticeships alive. New settlements have spread into states like South Dakota, Colorado, Vermont, Wyoming, and beyond. As land pressure rises in older settlements, expansion follows roads and opportunity. Then there is sustainability. Wood waste becomes heat. Sawdust becomes animal bedding. Supply chains stay local. Products remain in homes for decades rather than landfills for years. Without trying to join environmental politics, they accidentally built one of America's more durable manufacturing models. And the market is moving toward them. Younger homeowners increasingly search for things that feel real, repairable, and meaningful. In an economy flooded with disposable goods, permanence becomes premium. But growth brings tension: more wealth, larger firms, national customers, complex logistics, luxury buyers, pressure to modernize faster. How large can an anti-modern community become before success changes the thing that made success possible? That may be the defining Amish question of the next 50 years. Because the horse and buggy on Route 39 is easy to misunderstand. It looks slow. It looks nostalgic. It looks like history. But underneath the plain clothes and quiet roads sits a compounding machine of labor, family, skill, discipline, and patience. And patience can be one of the most aggressive business strategies ever invented. So while much of America debates the future, the Amish may already be building it, one table at a time. Evening settles over Holmes County. The compressors go quiet. Tools return to their places. Sawdust is swept. A father runs his hand across a finished cherry dining table before it is wrapped for shipment to Seattle. Some family there will eat on it for 40 years. They may never know who built it. The man who did has an 8th grade education, no LinkedIn page, no investor, no brand strategist, and no interest in performing success. Yet his business may outlast companies worth millions, because the Amish were never trying to win the modern game. They built a different one. Less debt, more skill, less noise, more family, less speed, more durability. The buggy on Route 39 is not falling behind. It is moving at the pace of something designed to last. This is the human map, because when people move, the map moves with them.